Now, remember this, ladies and gentlemen? We got this dropped into our laps after an entire summer of pretty much forecasting what they were going to pull on us last November. Just to think about it, tonight, this night, last year, we were all hanging out together on Election Day. And it's 8:25 right now. Things were still going pretty well. Pretty well. Then they would only get better and better until about 11:15. And then all of a sudden we hit a wall. All of a sudden we hit a wall. It's crazy how it's already 1 year. But here is something that we were thrown by the New York Post, and this was the start of their reporting that got me to actually subscribe to home delivery to them on the weekends for a little while until they jumped the shark again. I said, to hell with this. But the New York Post headlines read from August 29th, 2020, then it started getting picked up elsewhere. Confessions of a voter fraud. I was a master at fixing mail-in ballots. A top Democratic operative says voter fraud, especially with mail-in ballots, is no myth, and he knows this because he's been doing it on a grand scale for decades. Mail-in ballots have become the latest flashpoint in 2020 elections, while President Trump and the GOP warn of widespread manipulation of the absentee vote that will swell with COVID polling restrictions. I wonder what kind of a variant is going to pop up next September that keeps everybody home. Many Democrats and their media allies have dismissed such concerns as unfounded, but the political insider who spoke on conditions of anonymity because he fears prosecution says fraud is more than the rule than the exception. His dirty work has taken him through the weeds of municipal and federal elections in Patterson, Atlantic City, Camden, Newark, Hoboken, and Hudson County, and his fingerprints can be found in local legislative, mayoral, and congressional races across the Garden State. Some of the biggest names and highest office holders in New Jersey have benefited from his tricks, according to campaign records the Post reviewed. Quote, an election that is swayed by 500 votes, 1,000 votes, it can make a difference, the tipster said. It could be enough to flip states. The whistleblower, whose identity, rap sheet, and a long history working as a consultant to various campaigns were confirmed by the Post, says he not only changed ballots himself over the years, but led teams of fraudsters and mentored at least 20 operatives in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, a critical 2020 swing state. There is no race in New Jersey, from city council to the United States Senate, that we have not worked on, the tipster said. I worked on a fire commissioner's race in Burlington County. The smaller race, the smaller the race, the easier it is to do. Bernie Sanders, diehard, with no horse in the presidential race, said he felt compelled to come forward in the hope that the state, or states in general, would act now to fix the glaring security problems presented in mail-in ballots. This is a real thing, he said. And there's going to be a fucking war coming November 3rd over this stuff. If they knew how the sausage was made, they could fix it. A war came. And this article went completely away. You remember after this happened, I said somebody's got to get this to the president. Somebody's got to put this into the president's hand, and he's got to put this on the desk of the attorney general. But then now we know who was running the DOJ as well. Mail-in voting can be complicated, tough enough that 84,000 New Yorkers had their mailed votes thrown out in the June 23rd Democratic presidential primary for incorrectly filling them out. That was 84,000. That was the latest of it. At one point, there was a 150,000 plus vote backlog in New York for the Democratic primaries last June because of these stupid fucking mail-in ballots. But for political pros, they are a piece of cake. In New Jersey, for example, it begins with a blank mail-in ballot delivered to a registered voter in a large envelope. Inside the packet, there's a return envelope, a certificate of mail-in voter, which the voter must sign, and the ballot itself. That's when the election rigor springs into action. And then they go into how they do it, how often they do it, how they target the nursing homes. They go and they try to take votes and vote on behalf of all types of vulnerable groups, etc., etc. This came out a year ago today. Nothing ever happened of it because, of course, after this, the New York Post started reporting on the very viable story of Hunter Biden's laptops and Joe Biden's international dealings, especially with enemy states or perceived enemy states. So all this went away. And now here we are. I was thinking about this article all night last night, just watching how close New Jersey was. Because this guy's talking about how, if it's a close race, you can really do a lot there. If you have to just shave slim majorities off. To see how close New Jersey is for their governor's race 1 year later, and knowing absolutely nothing has been done to correct this, really makes you wonder. Really does.